What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 100% Chelsea and welcome back to Sad Bosses Corner. It's been a long time since we've done this. We've heard you guys asking where SVC is. SVC is back. Sadly, Jack isn't here, but we've got the next best thing in Cameron. And let's go straight into the questions.
Yeah, I'm only in the video to read the questions.
Oh, sorry. Don't forget Scott as well. I actually feel terrible.
That's cool. So the first question, I've seen this quite a lot. A lot of people were asking this, and I just picked out the most, the one I thought would be the best conversation point. It's from @JamesLyons410. If Sarri is sacked or leaves for an Italian side, seeing reports of Roma, who do we replace him with? Surely not Lampard, who has only had a season under his belt.
Yeah, definitely not Lampard for me.
Nah.
It's way too soon. Way too soon. I wouldn't be surprised if the club just went straight to Warren Blanc and said, "Want the job." I think they're going to go straight to him because he was already announced the job anyway, so I can come in.
Probably would be Blanc, but I wouldn't even want him, to be honest. This has been one of the reasons why I've stuck to defending Sarri for so long. The replacements aren't really there. If we wanted to get rid of him, the only manager who I could even be a little bit lenient towards wanting to come would be Jody Morris, and that's only because I know at least with Jody Morris the youth are coming through. Jody Morris will give us that at least, but bar that, I don't really see anyone else there that I'd want.
To be fair, it's only just hit me now. I think a lot of people would want Mourinho.
People would, but here's the thing.
But I don't think it would work.
My one point with Mourinho is he's not a person, particularly with the transfer ban, he's not a person to mould a team. He's a person to craft a team with signings.
If we get Jose back, Hudson-Odoi is going to be on the next flight to Munich. It's that simple.
Pretty much, to be fair. Next question is from @SmileForChris. He says, Chelsea want to challenge Man City for the title every season, but want to give players like Ruben, Mason, Reece and Abraham more first-team chances. Can Chelsea afford to use those players and challenge for the top in England and Europe?
What time frame? Because I don't think the club are expecting to win any big trophies anytime soon.
No.
I think that's why the fans really want those players to come through, because rather than signing players in that position, we rather mould them to become top players in that position. Because really and truly, we're not going to win the Champions League anytime soon. We're not going to compete for the league in a while, so we might as well bring them through rather than trying to sign our way to the top. Because I don't think it will work.
I agree with you on that. I think looking at this, you look at the entire youth army or loan army, whatever you want to call them. It's probably going to be about 5 or 6 that might even make it into first team. If you want to go even higher up and say a title-winning team, barely anyone. I mean, out of that 4 right now that was just said, only loftus-cheek really I put in a team that could actually win the league for us. But that's only because in terms of our midfielders, he's one of the best that we have.
Yeah.
Look at Reece James, maybe, but I still think it's a bit too early with him. A lot of those players, it is too early. And like you said, if you want these players to be in a title-winning team, it ain't going to be this season or next season. It's going to be in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
@Chriso65818609 says, who are your top 3 choices for director of football if we were to get one?
Just going to throw the ballot one out there.
I mean, that's the one that everyone wants, but apart from him.
I think with a director of football, one thing you need is someone who'd understand the club. And I think it'd be someone who... I don't know, I'd throw Frank Lampard in that mix. Mainly because of his intelligence. I think he'd be very well suited. I think he'd adapt very quickly to that role. For a third, I'm not sure. You guys got any?
I had Czech in mind. I know that's another one that's been kind of thrown about.
Czech, I wouldn't mind.
You can speak quite a few languages as well. So that's pretty strong. Knows the club. He can communicate with lots of different people. But Balak is top one.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Balak is my main choice because the fact that he's already come out and said, look, the club clearly has issues and he needs to acknowledge them. I don't feel like right now anyone at the club has the balls to even do that. No one has the balls to do that, so I'd rather have a figure like that in the club than someone that's just going to try and sign a player, doesn't work out, oh well, trust someone else, make our signings mean something. I think that is the right mindset for the club.
@thePatJacobs says, what do you think we should do with Kovacic? If we have the option to buy him, should we? Also, what should we do about the striker situation for next year? Is anyone on your shortlist if we get out of the transfer ban? Quite a broad question, but
Kovacic is the guy.
I agree, to be fair.
Unless it's for a price that's under 40 million, maybe even under that.
Say
Actually,
even
no,
under 30 at
under
this point.
30, because we look ourselves in our transfer record anyway. I don't even want that. Kovacic is great on the ball. That is it. That is full stop. And it's not. It ain't gonna work in any other position. He'll either play back up like we've spoken before, and that's not gonna work for the price tag that Madrid will want. He'll either play in Madrid, he'll either play in midfield, which means that he'll be either blocking spots for Ruben Loftus-Cheek and for Mason Mount or for other youth players,
Exactly.
or he'll be starting and it'll just be the same old shit that we've seen all season. So now I wouldn't really want to keep Kovacic.
Yeah, no, there's no way I wouldn't. But in terms of strikers, I want Luka Jovic.
He was one.
Jovic.
My only worry is, at the minute there seems to be a lot of people after, and I'm talking top clubs after a striker.
Yeah.
You got the likes of Real Madrid. I know Bayern Munich are after not necessarily a replacement, but a backup for Lewandowski. Just to name a couple, and it's like also with Benfica, they're under no they've got no reason to sell him, so there's like 80 million at least.
I think he'll want to leave.
Oh, I can see him wanting to leave,
Yeah,
especially not like the season he's had at Frankfurt.
You
But
think that could work into our hands? As in, all the top clubs want him. But instead of going to a top club that's already up there, could go into a club like Chelsea, who are still a big club, could still give him the wages that he wants, but also guarantee him the game time. It could also up his status, because if he's the sort of player that comes into Chelsea and brings us back up to the level that we want him to be, look how big his name will be after that. That could actually work into our hands a little bit.
I think it could. I think the only problem is it all depends who goes in for him. Because as I said, like Real
Oh,
Madrid,
yeah.
Real Madrid are after a striker. I know Cardi's been mentioned, Jovic has been mentioned. There's been someone else, I can't remember who. And if they go in, that's almost a
Yeah,
we've got no
I
chance.
completely forgot half those clubs can offer Champions League football
Exactly.
too.
And yeah, is there anyone else on the shortlist? On your shortlist we should get? Should we not have the ban?
It's not signing, but I'd like to see Tammy Abraham at least get a proper chance. Because, look, Higuain went to Napoli and he played his best season under Sarri. So, Tammy Abraham has proven he can bang goals. He can bang goals, so at least give him the chance to try and mould him into his system. Because if you get him going, I think we won't be able to take him outside. No, I like Tammy a lot.
He didn't really impress me that much in pre-season, but
He didn't for me either, I'm not gonna lie. He didn't impress me at all in pre-season, but I feel like he was brought back too soon anyway. I feel like he needed another loan anyway. I'm really too. He wasn't here for that long. The circumstances, they weren't the best, but I feel like the better circumstances, I think Tammy should be given a chance at least.
can't say no to that. I'll agree.
At Alex Kai says top 5 most important positions to replace in order.
It's right wing number one.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Just because of the lack of quality
Yeah.
that's in there, and also because the aging wingers,
I also think they will alleviate the pressure of Hazard as well.
which
Yeah,
we've
teams-
needed for
Because
years.
the teams, they just, if you have to defend the left side more than the right side. If you threaten the right hand side, it makes things a little bit more even when we're trying to play. So I think if you had an elite right winger with a left foot, I think that would really balance our attack a lot better. So Ryan is definitely number 1 for me. Second,
Either fullback position is taking
Well,
second and
Yeah,
third.
I'll say yeah.
The amount of
Yeah.
space we leave behind on both of them, it's actually embarrassing.
yeah, they're not modern wingers. They're not modern fullbacks.
No.
Not at all. I mean, they're not quick. They can't beat. Let's be real. They can't beat a man. They can barely hit a cross. Right. They're not suited to play this kind of football.
Yeah, both need to. I don't even think it's not even worth debating which one's which, because the options we have for both positions aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think for fourth then, centre mid,
Yeah.
because there's some quality there, but there's some. That's the problem. I mean, Kante's Kante. Loftus-Cheek's our best player going forward.
Yeah.
Jorginho's needed to control the play. Bar that, there's not really much there. It's just
Yeah.
Kovacic and Barkley stinking up the midfield, so we need a new midfielder. And I think for fifth, it'll be centre-back. But that could also be answered by Christian.
I know, that's
shit,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. We're in a position Arsenal were like last season where we just need a full almost overhaul. We need like 6 players almost.
Right,
at
so
this
all we
point.
need is a complete overhaul of the defence, a new midfield.
One new midfielder at least, possibly a backup as well for Jorginho, and like almost a full attack bar Hazard.
Probably a full attack as well as Hazard.
Oh, yeah,
the way
good.
things are going.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah, at Legend CFC says, and this is another one I think it's quite a big sort of topic with the weekend, was what do you think of all the hate towards Sarri? I personally disagree with it. The chanting needs to stop.
I've said about the chanting for so long, man. I wouldn't even be. Here's the thing: if they were chanting against the players and against the board as well, I probably wouldn't even say anything. Because I say, here's the thing: you're being consistent at least. If you're just going after Sarri, and you're not going after the players and the manager, to the fans watching outside, to neutral fans, to everyone else in the football world, you're just telling them Sarri's to blame. And that's the biggest problem with those chants. People are entitled to their opinion. I'll always say that. That's completely fine. But if you're just going to chant about Sarri, all you're saying is the problem is Sarri.
Exactly. And some people seem to have this idea that Sarri is the person ruining the club right now, but the club was in a state before he was even in the job. The club has been in a state for a long, long time. Where was the abuse to Antonio Conte last season? Because last season was I will stand by and say it was a lot worse than this season. It was a lot worse. Yes, we got a trophy, but it was terrible. And the players, they didn't seem to care at all. At least, I know now things aren't ideal, but it's pretty clear that we need signings and we need players that can actually play in a system. That was an Antonio Conte team that won the league, and they turned around, came 5th, and had embarrassing performances. And when we were 3-0 down to Bournemouth, people were chanting Antonio's name. It's like people pick and choose who they like and who they dislike, and for some reason they've just picked up an agenda against Sarri because people actually want to see us play good football. It confuses me.
Now, on what you said, what control does Sarri really have with this Chelsea team? Because let's be real, he can't control the transfers. The way the board like to control the club in general, the manager doesn't really have that much of a say. So if you're going after Sarri, what say does he really have to begin with?
Exactly. I mean, and there wasn't that much abuse to the board last season either. So exactly as we
Even
said
after
before,
that
be
fucking
consistent.
result.
Be consistent in it, because I will stand by and say if Conte got the signings he needed, he'd probably still be in the job right now. If he got those signings, Maurizio Sarri clearly hasn't got the signings he needed. Yes, he was wrong to come out and say that he could work with his team because this team's a mess. That was wrong, but it was. I believe that was him sitting there saying, "I'm showing faith in my players to at least play half decent this season." I think that's the only reason he done that, and everyone just wants to be quick and turn against him. It's just like, look, I'm not standing by Sarri because Napoli played so well last season. I'm standing by him because there doesn't seem to be a better option. And if he leaves for Roma and Roma start playing well, people are going to be like, "Oh, why didn't you do that at Chelsea? Because you didn't give him a chance."
Plus, it's a different league as well.
Exactly. Like no one really wants to give him a chance. So it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. So when people stand there trying, I'm just standing there like looking around thinking, "Fucking hell, where was this last season?" Because it was worse. It was worse last season.
I think to kind of play devil's advocate to some of the points you made, number one I will say is, at least from where I was in the stadium, around around the people I was with, there was a lot of sort of abuse, for lack of a better term, towards players as well. There was none towards the board, which I don't understand, but there was a lot of chanting or a lot of shouting at the players. So at least there is consistency in terms of that regard.
But that's the thing, like, abuse for players, as awful as this is going to sound, that just happens every game whenever they play badly. But when it comes to Sarri, the difference is they're all chanting it. And that's it. So I'm talking about what that looks from the outside in. For everyone else watching it, you just keep saying Sarri is the problem. No one's chanting against Willian. No one's chanting against Alonso. Not saying they deserve it, but they're not getting it either. But only Sarri is. That's where the problem is.
Another point I think that you kind of both made, and I agree with to an extent, but at the same time I'm kind of a bit not all the way there, is when you say the board didn't back him in terms of signings. Because I feel like they did in some regards, in terms of they got the 2 players that he wanted above all, and he didn't, as far as we're aware, or as far as I'm aware, he didn't want anyone else, especially that would fit his system, and that he got Higuain and Jorginho. Everyone else, like Kovacic, we just got because it was, I think it was part of the deal. It was something to do with the Courtois deal, or I think it was something to do with that, or it was just a loan in general. Keppel we needed because Courtois left. Pulisic was a marketing employee.
I'm not going to put Keppel down as a signing for Mauricio. That was just needed. I think the only real signing was Jorginho. That's the only real.
I think Higuain was as well, but that's because he wanted him as his striker.
The only reason I think he wanted him was because Morata and Giroud just weren't doing it.
Yeah, but that's what I think. There are other options, and he went Higuain because I know Higuain. I've worked with him. He's easy. He's easy to get.
Yeah, but on that, did the board back? I don't think the board backed him to begin with when we were linked with him since May, kept him in limbo until July,
yeah,
kept Conte in the job and was sacked him 2 days in. That's the thing. The season's a mess because of the way we went into it.
It's not. It wasn't even because of all it was over was because of his severance package with Napoli, and we ended up paying like 8 million or whatever it was for. And
Still
anyway,
got to pay Conte's severance
it's
package.
it was like all this trouble for nothing. But
See
yeah,
where the problems are coming from. I'm just saying, this ain't coming from Sarri. Really think about it.
it's a whole club thing. At Leroy Edition asks, would you rather Liverpool win the league or City win the quadruple?
See.
I don't care. It's fine. I
You
don't
know,
I
so
really
many
care.
people are talking about the title race. I'm like, we're not in it.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
like,
care.
don't care. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah. Listen, I can't stand Liverpool. I don't. City, they're a good
City,
side,
yeah.
but I really don't give a shit.
Yeah, City. To be honest, just because it's Liverpool, I can't. I don't want to win anything.
If it was a London club, I'd completely get it. But
Yeah.
Liverpool and City.
At Jack Godwin at CFC asks, is this the most toxic / divided you've seen the fan base in the Roman era?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's been building, I think. So I think it's been building since, I'd say 15, 16, but then you got to add the Conte's first season. There was nothing toxic about that. But I feel like that's an anomaly. Ever since 15, 16, we've always been very dodgy, bar that one season.
Yeah. There's a massive divide between match-going fans, old fans, younger fans, fans at Liverpool. That the divide is terrible and it's unnecessary. It's so stupid that I don't think any fan base really beats each other the way we do. Like, it's so dumb. Like, if my man lives in America, you can't expect him to go to a game every week. He's still entitled to give his opinion. Like, it makes no sense to me, honestly.
No.
It makes no sense to support him like the team, innit? Even if you feel something about the team and not playing well enough, you don't let a specific player say it, but you don't have to put other fans down.
Yeah.
That pisses me off the most because not everyone can go to games, you know. Like, not all of us live around the corner. Most people don't live in the country. So the club wouldn't be as big as it is if it wasn't for international support. So that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, there's a problem. I think there's a problem with our fan base. I think it's just a bit of entitlement. I think for some fans, they think the game has to be watched this way. If you're a Chelsea fan, you have to do this, this, and this. If you don't do this or this, then you're not a Chelsea fan. If you think something like this, you're not a Chelsea fan. And that's the problem with some of our fans. They think just because they've gone to Chelsea for so long, this is their club. But let's be real. It's their club as much as it's anyone else's club.
Yeah.
And if we want to be brutally honest, none of us own it. So it's also none of our clubs. So it's simultaneously everyone's club and not yours. And I think some of the fans need to remember that.
I agree with that. Bit more of a light-hearted comment, or a light-hearted question, because we've had a lot of negatives so far. At Ryan's Awesome 11 says, favourite goal home and away, Upper Blues?
Home and away. I need you to go first on this one.
Does this need to be the ones that we've been to? Or
No, just in general.
Just in general.
I think so, yeah. Because I'm thinking about one, but would you count it as away? Because it technically was. And I'm thinking Matic's goal. Because it's technically away, but it's a cup. Was it a semi-final?
I'm still trying to figure out, is he asking for our best home and away?
I think it's just favourite home and away goal. So favourite goal,
at home and away.
At home, and then favourite goal away.
At home, Hazard v Arsenal. That's the only time I've ever been at a game and I've just been like, what the fuck have I just watched? Like, I started celebrating after a couple of seconds. I stopped celebrating. I was just like, what the fuck did he just do? I swear he just ended 3 man's careers. Away, it's either Batshuayi at West Brom or Batshuayi at Atletico. Either one has to be up there, and I can't pick one over the other. Actually, no, Batshuayi West Brom. We won the league with that one. That's got to go in.
At home, let's see him against Barcelona. That's my favourite goal. I know we lost on that. Fucking yes, to the day I die, but that's one of my favourite goals. And then away. Ooh, that's actually a tough decision, you know. But I'm thinking off the top of my head, and the first one is the Everton away, Drogba crossbar around halfway now, and he turns, bangs it, man, off the volley. That's the first goal that came to my head, so I'm just gonna say that one, bro. That was fucking insane. I don't know how he managed to do that, bro.
I've got a question for you, well. So the year Leicester won the title, that draw with Tottenham, was that home or away?
That was a close second.
My favourite is a Hazard's goal in that game, just because like the how good it was. Like it for me, like there are definitely better goals in it, but it's kind of the context of it. It was a good goal. It's not Tottenham winning the league, and then away for me, an easy answer would be because it's technically away to the Champions League final.
Yeah.
The Drogba goal, but no, for me it was the game before that, the Barcelona game, Torres. Because at that moment I know we were through anyway. Because it's either that or the Ramirez goal. It's one of those. The Ramirez goal probably was better, but the Torres goal at the time just, apart from the Champions League, I can't remember celebrating a goal bigger. Like at the time, I was like,
relief.
I think my parents were wondering what was going on in the house. Like I was going mental. And then the last question of this bit from Martin at MG26989. Who would you want to be permanent Chelsea captain, if not Aspi?
Other than Aspi. No, if it weren't in terms of leadership, I just throw it on Kante because he's the only guy that could actually be consistent every game and he just lead by example. But in terms of someone who's actually speaking, because let's be real, Kante isn't going to be that vocal leader we want him to be.
Luis, in terms of a leader, but
I'd say
consistency.
Rudiger.
That's the thing, consistency. I don't know if Luis is going to be in 2 seasons' time. That's why I'm a bit iffy about giving it to him, but I hear Rudiger as well.
Nah, I'd be down for my only issue with Luis is because I read a newspaper article a couple of months ago. I think it was after the loss to Bournemouth. No, it was after the cup final because of the Kepa incident. People were saying that Luis is one of the vocal leaders, but some Chelsea players take issue to the fact that anytime he makes a mistake, he's usually shouting and blaming others for it. That's the reason why Rudiger slightly goes over for me.
Fair enough. I mean, I was stuck between the two anyway. But with Luis, he has his moments, man. And it's just I really don't like. You want your captain to lead by example as well on the pitch, and I don't think he'll be able to do that.
No,
I think that's the main reason for me. I think Luis is a bit too hot-headed.
Yeah.
He's a bit too. My worry, like I mentioned it before in a video that me and Louis did about this, where you've seen this season from like some sort of leaders, they may not be captains, but leaders like Kompany and Van Dijk are the two that come to mind. They've had moments where like Van Dijk against Napoli and Kompany versus Liverpool, where they could have been sent off, probably should have been sent off for those challenges. And I feel like Luis has got that, but most games. And I don't want that for my captain, where at any moment they could kind of go snap and then that's them off the pitch.
Yeah, you need to be able to rely on your captain, that's the thing.
And I feel like, just talking like Kompany for example, or even Henderson, I know like for Liverpool he's not the most calm person, but you don't really see it all that often, I don't feel like, unless something like major happens in a game, like a big bust up or a challenge or anything where he really loses his head, you don't really see it all that often.
Yeah.
And I feel like Luis just has too much of that going the other way.
Sometimes he thinks with his heart, like I said, especially in the big games.
Definitely.
Well, that's all the questions we've got for this section. Join us in a moment for where we'll be heading over to Sad Boss Corner. Give all your opinions and thoughts on any of the questions we've answered down below. We want to hear what you have to say on some of the questions, like the chanting about Sarri, next manager, say for example, the home and away goal especially. And we'll see you over in a minute at Sad Boss's Corner.
Right guys, it's that time of the week again. We're here at Sad Boss's Corner for your Sad Boss of the week. And your Sad Boss it is Punya Mahanti. I really hope I didn't butcher your name there. And he asks, why are we not at the same level passionate for Christensen and Ampadu as a midfielder to start games? Both of the same equal, if not better potential to Callum Hudson-Odoi and loftus-cheek. And given that Jorginho, Bartley and Kovacic have been struggling recently, why can't we play Kante, Ampadu, Loftus-Cheek and Luis Rudiger and Christensen? Now, first thing I'm thinking about that is, we did try Ampadu in that position against Sheffield Wednesday, and there wasn't really a lot said about that. It wasn't his best performance.
Yeah,
We completely get 17 years old and everything. That's also another reason why Ampadu hasn't had a lot said about him compared to Hudson-Odoi, compared to Loftus-Cheek. The age factor.
yeah.
Well, Hudson-Odoi is only a year older, I just remembered that.
Yeah. The thing for me is that you seem to be struggling in certain areas a lot more. I mean, it's pretty clear that we have overage, our wingers are overage. Hazard has no real support. Pedro and Willian, you can see that they're not going to provide what we need.
Yeah.
Whereas Hudson-Odoi, when we see him play, you can see that spark. We saw that spark back when we lost the Bournemouth 3-0. When he came off the bench, I think Conte switched like a 4-3-3 kind of thing. And Hudson-Odoi, he was looking amazing. We were 3-0 down, but Hudson-Odoi managed to lift up the crowd somehow. I think it was that moment onward. From that point, people want to see Hudson-Odoi play. Then we saw Willian and Pedro, they're not getting any better for us. Play Hudson-Odoi. That's where it kind of came in. It was where people realised that Hudson-Odoi's got the potential and that our wingers aren't good enough. So I think that's why Hudson-Odoi is at the very, very top of people's wish list to play, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in our attack we struggle a lot more than our defence, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they're both bad. They're both bad, but it's pretty clear that Hazard needs some support.
I agree with you for Ampadu and the Hudson-Odoi loftus-cheek argument. For Christensen, from trying to figure it out, I completely get that because I think Christensen deserves the same amount of support for him.
Yeah.
But I think what's been the reason why he hasn't received the same is last year. Now, Conte was playing Christensen regularly last season and he was brilliant.
Yeah.
After that Barcelona game, though, his performance started to dip. For the whole of 2018, he was very suspect. And I think that's the reason why you haven't heard the same amount of support for him as for other players.
Yeah, whereas beforehand, there was a lot of hype for Christensen.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning of the season, a lot of people wanted Christensen to at least get some minutes. And yes, he did perform for a while, but after that, it completely turned. And I feel like the idea of Christensen maybe being a young defender who could be at Chelsea for a long, long time left people said when you realise that he is actually quite suspect. No. So I feel like he had the hype, he performed for a bit and then it dropped off.
I think he should still be getting more game time. I mean, the fact still stands that I'd say, yeah, he is a bit suspect, but he can't be more suspect than Luis.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Rudiger, he's very rash. Like, I'll say that straight about Rudiger. He's very heart first, think later. But at least he's going to be the first one going in for those challenges. You'll see he puts 100% into every challenge. His only issue is just that he's just his brain. That can be fixed within time.
Yeah, I agree. And Ampadu, I feel like it will come. I feel like it will come because we clearly have a good player there. Yeah. I just feel like you look at the side and you think, where does he fit in? That's my thing for me as well, because I know people would say midfield, but let's be real, if he's in the midfield, the only place he's going to play is in Jorginho's position.
Yeah.
We just bought Jorginho. Jorginho's going to start games. He could play maybe, I'd argue right back. That's what I argued, especially in the Europa League, where I feel like instead of using Zappa Costa to play Ampadu there, I think it was, I can't remember what game it was, but he came off the bench and he covered the right position for maybe 10-15 minutes, and I was like, you know, you might as well give him the game because he's going to be here next season. Zappa Costa won't. So at least use him on the right hand side in the Europa League a little bit. Yeah. But I couldn't really argue for him at centre back. I couldn't, because I feel like it'd be a bit too risky.
I feel if you're gonna argue for Ampadu at centre back, you might as well argue for Christensen there instead. Yeah. Nothing against Ampadu because I know there's quality in that.
I like Ampadu a lot. I really want to see him play.
But I think you've hit something there. We need to figure out where is his best position for us. Right back, I'm gonna say outright. I haven't seen anything that could say he could play there, but I think it'd be worth a try. Well, I wouldn't be against seeing that happen because let's be real, we all talk about rotation or a lack of it or players not playing where they should be playing. Yeah. If people say Sarri doesn't try things out, if he plays like right back, he's trying something out. I wouldn't be against trying it out.
Exactly, and he seems quite versatile anyway. So when he came on in the Europa League game, I watched him, I was like, honestly, considering the size of the base of the Europa League, I'd be okay from the right side. Yeah. I'd maybe feel a bit off with centre back if it was just me, Keane or Christensen. I don't think he'd like a leader next to him like a Luis or Rudiger. But he does deserve minutes. I will give him that, and you should give him a hand because he really is a player. He really is a player. I don't feel like people realise how good he actually is.
Yeah, but guys, this has been the first episode of the revival of Sad Bastard's Corner. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of what we have said. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to 100% Chelsea. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Cameron's channel.
GTC.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to Carefree Lewis G as well. And we will see you guys tomorrow for Brighton versus Chelsea. Up for Chelsea.